Hello everyone to CIS Top 20 Control Series by Lean In Circle Breaking Barriers powered by CyberPreserve. Today in this series, we are going to talk about Control 10, that is data recovery capabilities. Nowadays, when we see the cyber attacks are happening, the way they are modifying the data of the organizations, they are changing the configurations. They are also attacking the backups which are stored. It is very important to work on this particular control, that is data recovery capabilities, which talks about the importance of backup, which talks about the testing of backup which you have created, which talks about the offline storage of the data. So we will see all these things in today's session. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Abhilasha Vyas, working as a subject matter expert, Cloud That Technologies. I'm member of Executive Council, Women in Big Data, India chapter, core team member of Women in Tech, India chapter, working as a Gujarat chapter lead, InfoSec Girls, co-founder Swati.com, also associated with other NGOs to promote women in tech and security. Let's start today's session. So in today's session, we are going to talk about definitions, requirements, implementation, risk associated, benefits, and cost. In a total, if I would like to summarize in the start itself, that what we are going to talk in the coming slide, the three important points which we have to discuss in today's session. The first is the importance of backup. Why it is required to have such controls which talks about data recovery. When you take the backup, why it is important to test that backup. The third point is why this control is talking about keeping an offline storage of the backup, and how we can say that the cost is going to affect and what kind of software services are available, what kind of vendors are available for managing the backup and recovery capabilities for your organization. So the control definition talks that the processes and tools used to properly back up critical information with a proven methodology for timely recovery of it. Because we cannot control the cyber attacks which are coming, the intensity of the cyber attacks, and we cannot be sure that our organization will not be targeted by the attackers. So we have to work on the processes and the tools which is used to back up the confidential and the sensitive data in terms of fully incremental. So this is important to understand that what is the critical information. So that is also important to identify that what kind of data is critical to your organization and how much data you are ready to lose in case of any disaster or in case of any problem. So the control requirements, if we can say that the ransomware attack and the loss of privacy. So ransomware attack, as we know, that work and encrypt the data which is available. And because of such attacks, the organization is going to lose the entire data. And then it is difficult for an organization to work. So it is important to note that such attacks leaves an organization in the inconsistent state where the organization is not able to perform day-to-day operations. And then they will lose, or you can say that they are going to bear a huge cost in revenue. Also, they are going to bear the reputation in the market also, because if such attacks are happening, if they are working on the personally identifiable information or any medical history or any other kind of a record, which is very, very sensitive information, let's say the financial organizations which are there. So if these financial organizations are not having the data of the customers, then the customers are not going to trust those companies. So this control requirements is really on the top priority when we talk about the ransomware and the loss of privacy. Also, the organizations are lacking the effective cyber security practices. What happens is nowadays when the employees are working from home, they are using the organizational network from their own devices. So how much the employees are following the security policies? Are their systems are patched? Are their systems are trusted enough to be connected to the network? So such things are really questionable. Such things are really asking us to make a pause and to think about the practices and the policies which needs to be implemented for effective security measures. So that's why also it is required to have a strong backup recovery plan, so that in case of any disaster happen, in case of system problem is there, in case of any other issue, maybe cyber attack, at least your organization have a ready data to start the business with without losing anything. And the third point is, as we discussed, that organizational, those who are handling the PII, medical records and the other sensitive data, because we know that the bank also, for an example, are knowing the individual with their username and passwords. Banks are also knowing us with our identity, which is digitally available. If that data is lost, whatever we have saved or whatever balance we have, we know that we are going to lose that. So these kind of organization should have a strong backup and recovery policy, so that in case of any problem, they can start their business without losing any important information. Implementation of the control. This control requires both technical and procedural actions united in a process that accounts for and manages the inventory of hardware and all associated information throughout its life cycle. So this particular implementation involves technical and procedural actions. Both should be united in a process, because what we need is, we need to manage the inventory of hardware and all associated information which is going through in its life cycle, because we want every data, every piece of data which is flowing in our network, which is important because that is the customers data, that is the sensitive data which our organizational owns. So in this case, we have three implementation group. So first implementation talks that if an organization having limited resources, so that comes under the category of IG1. So an organization with limited resources and cyber security expertise available to implement sub-controls. We are going to discuss 5 sub-controls in the coming slide. So implementation group 1, organization with limited resources and limited security expertise is coming under implementation group 1. Group 2 is talking about the organizations which are having moderate resources and security expertise to implement the sub-controls. And in IG group 3, implementation group 3, a mature organization comes with significant resources and cyber security experience to allocate sub-controls. If we see that these small startups we just started, if we talk about the backup and recovery policies of those startups, I'm not very sure that how much budget they have for such softwares which are having the costing in terms of per user licenses, in terms of the images which are backed up. So sub controls will be there, but how much you can implement it, how much you can allocate the budget for such backup and recovery, that is the point of the question and point of the discussion. If we look at the sub-controls, so these are the 5 important sub-controls in the data recovery capability. So first is ensuring regular automated backups. Now, I'm sure that everybody is agree with this, because automated backups are required. Again, if we are going to relying on the human process, maybe human can miss something. So it is important to have a automated backups to ensure that all system data is automatically backed on a regular basis. So just as our EMI, every month we have a system in which automatically EMI is deducted, same way we have to plan the automated backups so that automatically the backups can be taken, and the duration is again depending upon the organization. So all 3 implementation groups are falling under this category. All 3 type of organization has to implement this particular sub control. So perform complete system backups. Now in this case, We talk about the incremental backups, we talk about the complete backup. So this particular thing is ensuring that all of the organization's key systems are backed up as a complete system, because it is easy to restore from a complete system backup. It takes the time to take a full or complete backup, but then the restore process is easy if you have a complete backup. But in case of incremental backup, it takes time because you have images to restore from. So it talks about that the processes such as imaging to enable the quick recovery of an entire system. So once you have a complete system backup, the employees of the organization and you as an organization owner also have a confidence that in any case, my organization, my business is have a business continuity plan. I can start my work from a next minute itself because I have a complete system backup, which is the current backup. So this second control talks about this. The third control talks about testing data on a backup media, because when you take a backup, now how to ensure that your backup is completed, how to ensure that the encryption technique which you are using for securing your backup, that is working properly. You are able to recover the data from the backup images. So that's why this third control is talking about the importance of test data on the backup media. So it says that test data integrity on backup media on a regular basis by performing a data restoration process to ensure that the backup is properly working, because you are completely relying on the backup which you are creating. So if your backup is not working properly, you will not be having anything in your hand. So it's important to test data on the backup media which you are using for backing up your confidential, your important data. Now, protecting the backup is also important, because the attackers are not only planning attacks on the organizational network or the application, but they also have ways to reach out to the backups. So why not to protect the backups which are there? Why not to protect by providing the physical security or encryption techniques when they are stored? Like a lot of encryption techniques are available which can be applied for the backup images, so that if anybody is having access to the backup, they will not be able to recover the data because that is encrypted. So this particular control 4 talks that ensure that backups are properly protected by physical security or encryption when they are stored, as well as when they are moved across the network, because we are talking about data in transit, we are talking about data in rest. So in both the cases, our backup should be protected. Now, when we talk about the fifth sub-control, this fifth sub-control is taking our attention to a different area where we know that the attacks can be planned. So can be a situation where we are not able to access even the online stored backup also, even the backup which we have stored on the media also. Can be such situation is there. So if such situation is there, so fifth control is saying that ensure all backups have at least one offline backup destination which should not be connected to internet, which should not be accessible by the network connection, so that in case of any disaster through which you are not able to access the online images, at least you have an offline backup destination where your backup is stored. So this ensures that all backups have at least one offline that is not accessible by a network connection, and that is a backup destination. So this is how this data recovery capability control talks about the importance of backup, testing the backup, and storing the backup, protecting the backup. This is a system entity diagram. So data backup system is there. Offline and online backup is there. As we talked, that sub-control 1 talks about the offline backups. The computing systems are also there. The alerting reporting systems. So from everywhere, we are taking the backup and system is created. The benefits, if we talk, the first benefit is ensure regular automated backup. So this is basically a thumb rule which we need to understand. 3, 2, 1. So 3 means always take 3 copies on the media, two separate media use. So 3 copies which you have created use 2 separate medias, and 1 you are going to use it at the offline level. So 3 to 1 means all the automated backup you are going to store in a 3 to 1 fashion. 1 will be offline one. 2 means 2 different medias where you are going to store, and 3 means 3 copies you are going to create, so that you have a better availability of your information. Because when we talk about CIA triad, we know that confidentiality is important, integrity is important, but sometimes the A factor is more important than the other factors, because availability of the data is important at some point of time when you have issues to access the data. So ensuring the regular automated backup is the benefit. Testing data on backup media is also important, because we have seen that when we are storing the backup, but we are not able to access that backup, or we are not sure that the complete backup is taken on a backup media. That's why it is important to have a test. But then what is the duration of the test? When to test? That is depend upon the organizational policy and the strategy. Protecting the backup is also important, because attackers is not going to leave this stone unturned. Also, they are going to try to access the backups also which are stored. And the last point is ensuring the backups have at least one non-continuous addressable destination. So these are the benefits, not limited to this, but these are the important benefits of this control. Now, if we talk about the costing, it completely depend upon the backing system which we are using, how we are backing up the data, what images we are using, how frequently we are using, what kind of licenses we have. So these are the top player in the backup and recovery. So I would like to share a few costing and the subscriptions with you. So if we talk about the Acronis, so this is a backup system, and if we are going to take the standard 12.5 of this particular license, so for 1 year subscription we have to pay around $69. 2 year subscriptions we have to pay $129. If you are going to take an advanced version of this Acronis, because this is basically disk imaging backup. Also, this is working on a virtual server protection, and this is also taking a SNAN storage snapshots also. So if you are going for the advanced version, so for 1 year you have to pay $99. Now you can check the other details on the Acronis website. If we talk about the 3 scale by Red Hat, so in this is particularly API management platform, which works on API traffic control, which works on deployment options, which works on access control, which gives the analytical insights. So for pro version you have to pay $75. So this is, again, you can check the other options which are available. If we talk about the R Studio, this is a basically data recovery tool. This we can use for the data recovery, and this is a software basically. Again, this is for extensive and versatile file searching and support for you can say that virtual RAIDs, and also we can take a license for the purchase of $79.99. But if you want to take a commercial license, so this is a $995 per year. If we talk about the next, that is a MS System Center. So this particular MS System Center is giving us the configuration management. It giving us a data protection management, also the endpoint protection, because we know that the endpoint is a place where the communication will initiate or end. So endpoint protection is also given. So if you want to go for a data center edition for managing the virtual server, the costing will be $3607. If you're going for standard edition, this is a $1323. So details are available on the specific website. Like if you talk about FMR, if you talk about the Cloudberry, so these two particular services are basically available when you are going to contact them. When you are going to talk about your requirement, then they are going to share the pricing with you. So Cloudberry is basically online backup solution. Also, it is working on a white labeling, and it is using 256-bit AES encryption. that is advanced encryption technique. So this particular Cloudberry is working on this. If you talk about FMR, it protects user data and recovers it. Also, bandwidth option is there. Multiple formats backup option is available with this. If you want to use this particular service, then you can contact this particular vendor and you can get the pricing for that. If we talk about the Nakivo backup and replication, it is a leading SaaS and data management and protection services providing VMware backup, Hyper-V backup. Also, the EC2 backup is available. And if you take the trade-in, it is $149 per socket. For Essential, it is $199 per socket. For Pro, it is $399 per socket. So the costing is, I am just summarizing it again, depending upon the software you are using, the service you are using, the backup strategy you are using, how frequently you are testing it. So costing is completely depending upon the way you are taking the recovery and backup system, and you are taking the help from the services and the vendors. These are the references you can go through, and you can get more details about this control and the other controls also. Thank you so much. Keep watching CIS Top 20 Control series by Lean Circle, Breaking Barriers, powered by CyberPreserve. Thank you so much. Stay safe.